What's up, family? Spencer-Mack here. Long time no see. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy New Year, even. It is the new moon in Aquarius on January the 24th, and I am stoked to share with you guys something new I'm getting into. I haven't been producing much content recently, and that's because I've been kind of going through a bit of an existential crisis. Trying to really figure out what I value in life, and reflecting on the state of the world as a whole has been kind of depressing. What I've been trying to look for is what the Japanese refer to as Akiaki. If you were to imagine a Venn diagram of 4 circles overlapping in the center is what they call Ikigai. And that is a meeting place from what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what people will pay you for. I want to find that golden goose of a passion that is also a service to humanity that also generates money. So I've really been contemplating that, and to really understand more of what the world needs, I've been looking more into the state of the world. Something I've kind of avoided for the last 10 years or so. You know, I got out of the matrix, so to speak, 12, 15 years ago, moved out to Hawaii, and didn't look back. But that insanity that is that left brain logical attempt to divide and conquer the world is spreading across the globe. Now, I used to have a kind of a sacred beach where I could go to all the time, and it was so clean and pure, it was like going back in time every time. And just recently, when I go down there, I start to see trash on the beach, plastic. We're floating in the middle of a gigantic ocean. And even out here in the middle of the ocean, there's so much trash in the world, it floats up on that beach of all beaches. Certainly there are other beaches in Hawaii that have been trashed for a while and are becoming more and more trashed due to where they sit within the tidal currents, within the currents of the ocean. More trash gets washed up onto those beaches. And they're just getting horribly saturated in plastic. So contemplating these issues, like what's at the base, the fundamental foundation of all of these problems, our disconnection from nature, and trying to find where I could even make a dent in such a giant problem. Now, I love the quote, "Think globally, act locally." And I do perceive my experience as a fractal, as a hologram of myself, the entirety of the universe inside here. That's how I choose to perceive the world based on my past experiences. So I really definitely, put weight into the type of perception, be the change that you wish to see in the world. And so I'm really trying to, I see that humanity as a whole is not sustainable. And I've been getting messages the past decades, even as a kid, about how there's pollution, there's trash, we need to watch out for taking care of our environment. But it seems to have accelerated rapidly, and we're really in a state now where I could see we could decimate all of humanity within my own lifetime, which is nuts. And so trying to even find a solution on a micro level, on my own individual level, has been something that I'm willing to focus on. I feel I could really make an impact on this island as a whole, but even before that, I have to focus on myself. What could an individual live like in a means that is truly sustainable? What does that mean to be truly sustainable? Is there really any truly sustainable technology? Because even solar panels are using metals that have been mined from the earth around the world. So, suffice it to say, I don't have a complete answer yet, but it has compelled me to start a new way of living. And this month begins my challenge of what I call the Aina warrior diet. Aina means land in Hawaiian. It's also been put grown, not flown, to eat completely locally. And ultimately, that's the only way that I see we can live sustainably, is if the individual learns how to source their sustenance from the surrounding environment. It's this outsourcing that has caused so many problems. It's out of sight, out of mind. We don't see where our trash goes. We don't see the gigantic, massive farms that are growing our crops, or the massive ranches that are, or factory farms that are growing the meat. I don't support factory farms. I don't support monocropping. I know my rancher and butcher, and I grow most of my own food, vegetable wise. So I tried to live completely from the island maybe 8 years ago, but I was vegan and I found it to be impossible. So that's definitely a challenge to vegans, is if you really want to be sustainable, a challenge to the perception of veganism, not to challenge the individual, but to the perception, the ideal of veganism. If the ideal is to limit the amount of damage and suffering on animal and environment, we really have to think all the way to the source of our food. Because if we're eating avocados shipped in from Mexico and chili peppers from Chile, how sustainable is that really, and how much death is incurred along the way, the means of transport to get that food all the way over here? So the only real substantial solution to this mind fuck of a situation we're in is to become sustainable as an individual, and the only way to do that is to focus on your own environment. What food sources do you have around you? Get to know the farmers in your neighborhood or outside of the city. Get to know them individually and find the farms that are practicing sustainable practices and support them. Give them your money. Give them some time volunteering even. Get to understand the whole process. And so in order to try to promote something like that, and just to make sure that my microcosm has that imprint to make an impact, I am living by grown not flown for the next month. I don't doubt this is going to be a lifetime thing from now on, but I'm setting in a nice square solid goal for 1 month of doing this, and I'm going to share along the way what I'm into. My staples are really simple. We've got beef, we've got kalo, which is like a tuber, and those are really going to be my staples. I'm going to get some fish from time to time, and got herbs from the garden. Growing some herbs over here, and that's kalo right there. We got a lot of kalo. Super satiating, really nutritionally dense food, all from within 20 miles of me. Now I say, if you are interested in trying this challenge for yourself, I've heard the limit of 100 miles before. If you're on the mainland and you can source all of your food within 100 miles, that would be a huge step in supporting the whole picture. Not just your own health, but your environment and the local economy. You can build and strengthen the relationships within your community. Being connected to the source of your food has such a profoundly deep impact on your own feeling of security. Something you don't even realize, but you're relying on a store, and that thing only has enough food for about 3 days. So if things were to get shut down, which is a lot easier to visualize out here because the boats could not come. We have about 3 days worth of food in our stores, and about 90% of our food is imported on this island. So imagine that. You know that subconsciously. You know that you're reliant upon something outside of yourself. Maybe you attach money to it. You need money to eat. But nevertheless, it's a limited resource that is outside of your control. So once you establish connections with family, with neighbors who have food, who are growing it, it's in your neighborhood, there's a really deep felt sense of peace and integration into nature when you reach that depth. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. Like I said, I tried it when I was vegan. It was not sustainable. And now that I'm eating meat and I can get locally sourced meat, I really see I've come full circle. That's what I see that I finally arrived to, is a balanced diet of really high quality animal products, really high quality plant foods sourced locally, a fully sustainable lifestyle. So I'm really stoked on that, guys. Wanted to put that out there. Sorry I haven't been posting much recently. Busy time, working 2 jobs, all that jazz. But I really feel this is a strong turning point in the year, right? The sun is on its rise back to power, and it's a great time to get something new started if you're motivated, maybe even fucked up since your New Year's resolution, but that growing energy is still happening, and I'm definitely feeling it with this new moon. So I wanted to jump on here and just share my excitement with you guys. Would love to hear your insight, your any kind of questions that you have around it, any kind of ideals that I could do to make it even better. I'm always appreciative of y'all's input in this relationship, and I'm stoked to just keep taking it up and up, guys. Now's the time more than ever that we need to embody the ideals that we need to save this planet as a whole. It's literally gotten to that. I thought that would be way past my life, but we're seriously in that kind of a scenario. And we need to step up and live the talk, walk the talk. So let's do it together, guys. Let's kick some ass. Looking forward to it. Peace and power to you guys. Aloha.